Education approves the March 9th, 2026 consent agenda as presented. Matters listed under the consent agenda are considered routine in nature by the Board of Education and will be acted upon by one motion. There will be no separate discussion on these items. If any member of the board or any citizen requests discussion of an item, that item will be removed from the consent agenda and will become the first item of business under the report of the superintendent portion. A, approval of the minutes of the Board of Education, February 23rd, 2026 regular meeting. B, approval of the bills for payment as submitted by the business office in the amount of $1,417,335.97. And C, approval of the financial statements for January 2026.
Moved by Rogers, supported by Piles. Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call.
Rogers is yes. Piles? Yes. Kamal?
Yes.
Jackson? Yes. And Davis?
Yes.
Motion is approved.
Look at that, must be a new record. 3 minutes and we're already at the report of the superintendent.
Start my car. A little excited. Good evening, board. Nice to see everybody in relatively good shape. Good to see you there. Been losing sleep for about 2 weeks after that. It's most unfortunate that that's even on video, but I'll be generous. Just a couple updates. I really don't have a lot at this point. Actually, I want to ask Eve, are we confirmed that we do have a board meeting in 2 weeks? Yeah, I don't understand why we don't have our. No, I don't need one, but it's on there. It just doesn't make. Because the following week is our spring break, the 31st. 16th, 23rd, 30th. Yeah, we only have one. Yeah, it's on there. I don't understand, but I'll let that go. So I guess we only have one board meeting and then the next one would be in April, pretty late. And I don't know how we are with negotiations. We have negotiations, but I don't suspect it. But, definitely not going to have anything in 2 weeks. But just something I didn't understand why we didn't, but okay, I'll move on. In my meeting today with the administration, the administration principals and directors, I had mentioned that you all probably know I put out an email to parents saying that I was disappointed with the parent survey. And I make no mistake or any bones about who I am. It's just, if you don't tell people what you expect, you're not going to get it. So we had like 136, and I was like, that's embarrassing. Like, that's just ridiculous. And that we had 436 last year. So I'm excited to tell you that now that it closed, we had over 500 parents completed that parent perception survey. So it just really feels good. I started working, of course, on my next email for them, to tell them what's next. But just a good moment for us, a good moment for the district that when you ask, you actually can get from parents. But if you don't ask, you're not going to get. And I make no apologies for pushing emails. And I said today, I'd rather have people say that, oh, man, you're always emailing me, than to say that I don't ever send out anything. So I'll let you know. Once I get the information, I'll share it with you. I have no problem with transparency, sharing with you what the parents are saying perception-wise. I mentioned today, and it's too late for this year, but I can't do Saturday graduations. I'd rather not do Saturday graduations in the summertime. It's not the summertime, it's the spring. We're doing these Saturday graduations. The turnouts aren't as good because, for whatever reason, they have a track meet always on that Saturday, all the time. Yes, all the time. And then also this year, we have the 8th grade trip to Washington, D.C. If that gets off, I'm like, bad, just bad. And I'll have to own that. But I'm like, there's no reason that we should have it on a Saturday. I'm going to push for, I told them, not a Friday. Oh, no, not a Thursday. That's golf season. I'm sorry. That's out too. So you got one Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday for next year. I'm just letting everybody know we're not doing Saturday, we're not doing Sunday, we're not doing Thursday, we're not doing Friday. So that gives you Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. You all can fight over that. What day you like, I'll be there. But I just think it's, I can't make staff come. I try to I don't even try to compel them, but it looks bad when your staff's not there. But if it's a Saturday and we don't have to do a Saturday, then, but this year we're locked in, just so you know. Eve, you were looking, you good? Negotiations to this point are very amicable with the teachers union. Mr. Brock has a good relationship with the UNISERV director and the teachers union, as do I would say. So right now, it's amicable. We're just moving ahead and having those conversations. When we get to a point where we need to bring you in, it would be a closed session where we tell you where we are with that. So the last one, I need to know where you stand. There's no necessary vote. So I guess I need to share with you, without trying to say names. One of our parents, I ran into one of our parents who has a felony, but has been off of parole for 4 years, been out of prison for 4 years. And we have positions here, custodial, maybe even bus drivers, I don't know. But I believe the board policy says that it's up to the Board of Education to, I don't know if it's set a policy on that or not. I just really need to know. Yeah. Well, right, if it's the individual or, yeah.
You can vote on it
Right.
under
Yeah.
certain, like, you hear stuff like
Right.
that, right? And then we come out and vote. The board has to vote for it, and the superintendent has to be in agreement.
Yeah, so I'm ready to do that. This one is pretty personal to me. And I said that we are always looking for custodians, and we are. And I talked to the staff and I said, I mean, at some point, come on, people have, everybody's made their bad decisions. We have. At some point, you let them live their life. They did what they needed to do to make amends for, I guess, I mean, for lack of a better term, to make amends. And then, hey, if we have an opportunity, depending on what position it is, I think that we should give people a chance. And I will say this happened on Friday with one parent who is a felon, or a former felon, I guess former felon. And then later that day, same exact thing, different parent. And neither of them are working. And I'm like, oh, come on. And that's just me and how I believe that people deserve a second and third chance. But I mean, if it doesn't go well after that, I said, you're done. But I'd like, as I said to these families, if they want to, I did not a tremendous background check, but I'll say in this case, it was my former student who's a parent here. So, and I remember distinctly, the path, disappointing, but now is in a better place. So I suggested that. I said, if you apply, you let me know that you applied, and then I'll see what I can do with the Board of Education. Now, of course, now we don't have a meeting for another month. I mean, I would like to do that. I mean, it would.
As far as a meeting, I think we should have a meeting because.
Oh, on the
to
20.
end of
Oh,
April
yeah,
is way
yeah.
too long.
Middle of April is wait a month.
President, I'd like to amend the agenda to add an action item to vote on a meeting.
Oh, see why?
Organizational meeting to see if there was a reason why we did that.
Normally, we would have spring break the week of the 20-something.
Yeah, it's like we're off. If it was the week before,
Because of spring break,
Right.
we would cancel, right. And so I think that was just automatically set in.
I thought so when Ms. Camilleri said to me, we only have one board meeting. I'm like, oh, is that spring break? I didn't know. And then it's not. I'm like, we need to have a meeting, and then things happen in a month in school. That's a long time not to have a meeting.
Hopefully, they apply then before.
Yes, I mean, that would be nice where we could have that
As
conversation.
long as it's not, there's like a list of infractions that it's out of our control, like crimes against children.
Yeah, no,
Okay. I'm just saying,
no, I know,
there's a
right.
list,
I wouldn't even let that one.
And as long as it's not those certain.
Yeah, I know exactly what it is, but.
that,
And I just say that to the board, like, that's just who I am. I mean, I'm in the probably restorative business of some sort, and I just believe that there's no science to this. I don't know what's going to happen afterwards. I don't know. I can't be responsible for somebody's behavior, but I feel like, why not? And if you can get an opportunity to even get close to your child in a school or connected, I'm all right with it. So just wanted to share that and see if, if the person applies, that maybe we'll be going into closed session to talk about it, and I'll say a little bit more. So then I'll wait for Eve, and don't really have anything else, but I'm open to any question that you might have that I can't answer at this point. I keep saying, Ms. Kamal, we gotta sit down and talk just about the strategic plan and the bond. Some things that I would do differently this year. Of course, we put something out to the community. I hope that they read it. I heard one person respond. It makes me think, well, what happened to the other 13,000 that went out? Like one? Only one. But in terms of the bond, of course, we're going to pull. It's not going to be as much based on what I heard people say, like they were worried about, oh, that's a lot of money. So if we pull back, we can look at some things that we're going to do. All of these things kind of happen around the same time. If you pass the bond this year, that would be 26. 28 is the sinking fund expires, and then 30 is the non-homestead. And then people are going to be like, oh, you guys want everything. And you have to understand the difference between all three of those. But they're all would be coming up. Boom, 2 years from that, boom, 2 years from that, boom. So just want to make sure we're right. Ms. Camilleri.
So the schedule that was given out the last meeting in June the only thing I could think of is spring for break. I don't see any reason why we.
Oh, you thought it was my birthday that day? No, it's next Monday. I thought you thought, yes, next Monday. I know you thought maybe we were taking that off or something. Yes, thought you'd had that to memory by now. I'm disappointed.
I'm thinking that might have been what was in 25, that was spring break week.
Right. That's what I suspect.
So I'm thinking it might have been taken off in error.
So I'd like to make a motion to amend the agenda to add an action item regarding the meeting on
23rd.
Motion by Piles, supported by Jackson. Any discussion?
I'm looking at my team back there. They look so excited about that. Like, oh, great, another meeting. You'll be all right. We'll be all right. It looked like you had something to say, though. Yeah, right.
All right, roll call vote.
Piles,
yes.
Jackson. Kamal,
Yes.
Rogers is yes, Davis.
Yes.
Motion has been approved to add the action item for adding the March 23rd meeting.
Thank you. That's it for me.
So we need to make a motion.
Are we doing the motion now or later?
It's usually up under, you can do it now.
Okay. I'll make the motion to add another regular board meeting on March 23rd, 2026.
Board of Piles.
Okay, moved by Davis, supported by Piles. Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call vote.
Davis,
Yes.
Piles. Yes. Jackson.
Yes.
Kamal,
Yes.
Rogers is a yes. Motion has been approved for our March 23rd, 2026 meeting.
All right. Anything else? That's it. All right. Thank you. All right, next up, we have a report from the Executive Director of Administration and Human Resources, Mr. Kevin Brock, with a food service update.
All right, good evening, Mr. Vice President, Board of Education. You have before you this evening a contract for continuation of food services. Typically, this would have gone on a board meeting, have it before you, have a discussion, and then up for a vote on the next one. That was before I knew we had a meeting, or before we knew we had a meeting on the 23rd. This is time sensitive. I would appreciate it if we could get a vote tonight. I could get it uploaded in the system. That's the reason it was put on in one night instead of in 2 nights. We couldn't wait till the middle of April to get it put on or put it in the system. So you'll notice in the contract, It does constitute an increase of 4%, which is standard across, it's allowable and standard across food service contracts after this phase of the contract. And prices have gone up, so that does account for, it's whatever's less, so it's 4% versus something else. So I'm happy to entertain any questions, but that's why it's on for one night, vote, and then presentation, or therefore. It's a one-year contract. I mean, I have not heard anything negative. I'm happy with it. I'm happy with the leadership that's in place. Brian Ead does an outstanding job. They've been very supportive of the district. I'm happy with their upper management. I just did a survey for their company. We do them quarterly. I think it's quarterly, and I gave a good reference for them. I mean, I think they've done a good job. I have not heard negative. Otherwise, I mean, kids are never going to like the food that's put before them. I think we do a better job. I think Brian Ead probably cooks more than most managers that I've ever interacted with. I mean, he does beef brisket, and he does beef tips, and he does all kinds of home-cooked food. So, I mean, I'm pretty happy.
I like the
I'm happy with
hamburgers and the french fries when I have it. I like the hamburger and french fries.
I know the night the board was invited over there, we could try their food. It was good.
Yeah, and I know he's been very supportive, as Chartwell's has been as well, with the opening of the Eagles Nest, as much as they can be involved and be supportive. There was never an argument about, you can't take this from us, and they've been very willing to work with us. So I'm extremely happy with Chartwell's. At least that's my opinion.
All right, any other questions? All right, seeing none, we have an action item in front of us. Move that the Board of Education approve the food service agreement with Compass Group USA Incorporated by and through its Chartwells division. Rationale, the renewal of the district's food service contract is recommended to ensure continuity of high-quality meal service for students while maintaining compliance with federal and state child nutrition regulations. The current provider has demonstrated satisfactory performance, fiscal responsibility, and adherence to USDA and state reporting requirements, allowing the district to maximize reimbursement revenue and avoid operational disruption. Budget implications, general fund, exhibits, contract included. Motion by Davis, supported by Rogers. Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call.
Davis.
Yes.
Rogers is yes. Kamal.
Yes.
Piles.
Yes.
Jackson. Yes. Motion is approved to extend the contract for 1 year.
All right, next up is a report of the Director of Teaching, Learning, and Professional Development, Dr. Tara Shammy, with an action item.
I'm gonna read the action item. You gotta read the action item. Recommended motion. Move that the Board of Education approve the Romulus High School HOSA State Skills Competition in Traverse City, Michigan, April 15th through the 18th, 2026. Rationale, participation in the state HOSA Skills Competition provides CTE Health occupational students with a valuable opportunity to apply classroom knowledge in a rigorous real-world setting. The competition aligns directly with program standards by reinforcing technical competencies, clinical skills, professionalism, leadership, and ethical decision-making essential to healthcare careers. In addition to technical growth, the event promotes career exploration and networking. Students engage with peers, educators, and industry professionals from across Michigan, broadening their understanding of healthcare pathways and post-secondary opportunities. Exposure to high standards of performance fosters confidence, resilience, and a commitment to excellence. Budget implications are CTE 61A and RHS Transportation.
Support.
Now, are there any questions or discussion?
Well, I had an opportunity to see the kids. I've gone into the classroom a couple times, and it was good to see kids excited because I believe they competed. I don't know if it was earlier in the year, but to get a second opportunity to kind of know what to expect. And I think Robert may have placed fourth.
I think he did when he
Thought it was,
did his presentation.
yeah, I thought he was fourth when he said it. But just, listen, it's good to see that at least we show up. Okay, and now you have to do more. Just it's more than just showing up. But glad that we're invited, and hopefully our kids have a great experience. Winning is great, but having a great experience is memorable as well.
All right, motion by Rogers, supported by Davis. Any other discussion? Roll call?
Rogers is yes. Davis?
Yes.
Kamal?
Yes.
Piles?
Yes.
Jackson? Motion is approved.
All right, next up is a report of the Director of Operations, Jason Perkins, with an action item.
Recommended motion move that the Board of Education authorizes administration to seek parking lot repairs. Rationale, we should seek bids for the parking lot repairs to ensure we receive pricing and quality workmanship. And multiple proposals allows us to compare cost, scope of work, timelines, and contractor experience. This process supports transparency and reasonable fund use and helps ensure repairs are completed properly to protect the property and extend the life of the parking lot. Budget implications, sinking fund, exhibits none.
Support.
Motion by Jackson, supported by Piles. Any discussion? Let me just remind you that this is the sinking fund, not the sinking fund, the bond failed. It's a $23 million project. So we had to use our sinking funds to try to piecemeal this project together. It's going to be, I think, 3 to 5 years. It will last 3 to 5 years. It's not what you would expect if we had a $24 million one, which we should have. So we're just piecemealing the high school. It's in phases. We're going to start with the north section part of so it's like where Forgotten Harvest is. That Forgotten Harvest would be the north side, then the next year is the south side, then Ram El, I'm trying to, what do the other two are in there? Middle school parking lot, that's in shambles too. And then there's one more, I can't remember the fourth. But it'll be 4 of our schools. It's in phases, so I don't want to say temper your expectations, but I will say temper because we had to use our sinking fund and we couldn't come up with 24 million. Had to come up with this, is it 2 million? But it's going to look good. It's going to look brand new. It's just not at the same quality. So we needed to do something. So thank you to Jason and his team, and thank you to the board.
Question, the project will spread out over multiple years. Will the funding from sinking fund be taken over multiple years or paid out of the current year up front?
No, not up front. So I think this year is 2 million, and I think next year is 2 million. So it's not 4 million. We're just doing a 2 now, and then next year will be the 2. But if we pass if we pass a bond, then it looks a little bit different. So we have a lot of work to do. Get that arm working, man.
All right, any other discussion? Seeing none, roll call?
Jackson? Yes. Piles?
Yes.
Kamal?
Yes.
Rogers is yes. Davis?
Yes.
Motion is approved.
All right.
All right, next up, report of the Interim Director of Finance, Mr. Josh Dyer, with a presentation on the 2025-26 amended budget.
First off, have you all met Mr. Dyer? Okay. So, Mr. Dyer, if you don't mind, if you could give just a little 30-second to 45-second preview of your experience, what you're doing, where you came from, your interest or your experiences with public schools.
Absolutely.
We can start there first.
Thank you very much for the opportunity to be here with you tonight. I appreciate it, members of the school board. As requested, the experience that I have, been in Monroe County for the past 23 years in various roles in K-12 local school districts and at the Monroe County ISD. I've been business manager, assistant superintendent. I've been in those roles, sharing responsibilities, being over the ISD and over local districts, having our agreements with those local districts to support business office functions over the past 23 years. I did recently make a transition to work for Raymond. So when Romulus reached out to Raymond, I was assigned to your district from Raymond. So as a CPA, as an MBA, it brought that experience with me to help the district and moving forward with what you guys need as far as a finance position currently, and hoping that as we work through where our current engagement is, we can continue to work with you as a board and as administration to provide a high level of service for your district. But today, I'm here to help with presenting where we're at as far as the amended budget. We did try to bring together as much of the current information that was available to amend the budget, working obviously with Mr. Graham when it comes to where the district is at from an operational perspective, but then also programmatic kind of things, all those impacts that are affected by the grants that Mr. Graham's been supporting over the course of years now. But did, again, bring in a lot more information to come up to current, where we're at for the current 25-26 school year. So we did put together a budget book for you, separate from the presentation, so apologize that there's kind of two sets of information there. But the budget book that was kind of passed on kind of had some of the information that you as a board are used to seeing, so I didn't want to skip over that kind of piece as far as the process goes. So there are some details within the budget book that are there to kind of go into a few of the details. The presentation is a little more high level, just to kind of touch on a few of those things, where the adjustments had come from, but then also kind of give a little more of that, kind of executive feel to where the presentation's at. Obviously, when it comes to moving forward with projections for the next year, 27, year after that, 28, there are some pieces that we're going to be working with the administration to try to get a little more of a longevity with the projections that are out there. Obviously, student count is a big part of what that entails because of the way the revenue kind of pushes the school district toward a few of those things. But we'll talk a little bit about some of that as we go into the budget and discuss a few of those things. To the extent, though, that when we start talking about the revenue that comes into the district, just as a quick reminder on where we're at. And remember, local revenues, we're talking about our property taxes, preschool tuition, facility rental, athletic events, and other miscellaneous local kind of items, things that are collected here in the community. So those, when you think local, those are things that are kind of close to us. As we talk about some of these other areas, it's the farther away they get, right? So the state revenues, when we talk about foundation allowance, including the categorical components, are special education revenue directly from the state. When it comes to the retirement reform allowances, at risk, GSRP, the categorical components that the state legislature provides to us, again, a little bit farther away from the local piece. On the federal side, again, we're down to the Title I's, 2s, 4s, and IDEA. When it comes to the federal piece, there's some other smaller federal pieces, depending on which year it is, E-rate being one of them. So there's some other miscellaneous pieces on the federal side, but again, that's pushing a little bit farther out. And then some of our intermediate sources when it comes to what is generated from a countywide perspective. The state has us put that as an intermediate source. So when things are coming from Wayne-Risa, when we're looking at the enhancement millage and other unreimbursed costs that come through special education services and those pieces that RISA provides, that's where those intermediate sources are at when you look at how the pie chart kind of breaks those pieces down. Specific to what we're looking at for this March amendment, we did want to just kind of run through a few of the adjusted assumptions, and again, bring those things forward to where we're at current point in time. Remember, when it comes to our funding components for the FTEs, we are split in how much the FTE counts for the fall, which would have been counted in October, but then also what goes back to last spring. So we're 90% in the fall, 10% in the spring. So the blended component, again, that brings those two calculations together. We do have a process of collecting FTEs from the point of October's count to the next February, because that's the next spring, and bringing some of that FTE into the current year, bring it back to that fall count, that's called 25E. So we did try to collect as much of that information as we could for this updated budget. I believe Mr. Graham's numbers he was using back from November. So again, we're trying to bring most current information that we have and then compare it against where we're at from the original budget that was presented to the board. And again, I'm just trying to use some of the documentation that was within the business office as I was bringing some of this together, just to provide a context to where some of the calculations adjust. The difficult part, and where we're talking about some of where we're going from original to now, really does depend on where the calculations are at. From a tax revenue piece, there's an adjustment in here, and you'll see the increase on the revenue side for the local revenues because of the tax increase based on the original assumptions that were used for the values locally that were going to be collected. But again, due to the way that Romulus is a hold harmless district, some of that calculation of when you receive a lot of your revenue based on your local collections, the state then reduces how much they send you. right? You guys really don't get any proposal A money. You're all in discretionary. So when it comes to that 22B calculation, whatever is coming in on the local side, they're reducing how much that you're receiving on that piece because you are capped on how much that's coming in for. So there was an adjustment to those tax revenues, but it's pretty much an offset to the discretionary decrease, and you can see those numbers. Again, if you go to page 3 of the budget book, you'll see a lot more of the detail on the revenue side. That would be those ups and downs as far as the decreases go. When it comes to our grant carryovers, Mr. Graham worked on getting those pieces together so that we could bring those into the budgets. Again, things that were left unspent from last year, bringing into the current year. Those carryovers, they increase both revenues and expenses at the same time. So again, most of our grants, we're talking about a net zero impact to the fund balance. So the hard thing sometimes is how much we're spending. We actually have to spend those funds, right? Because we don't really want to give anything back to the federal government. We don't want to push anything back from the state side if it's something that doesn't have a carryover component to it. But Mr. Graham's work with the buildings to ensure that we're using all of those allocations and any of the new allocations this year really can bring forward those pieces to help support where the programs and the operations are going. But both of those things rise at the same time. More revenue, more expense, specific to the grant spend downs. We did have from the original budget that was provided, you'll see it again on page 3, there was a calculation for stabilization funds that the legislation did not assign for this current year. That was about a $582,000 decline in revenue calculation from original to now, which kind of represents a good portion of what you're looking at when it does come to our bottom line when we're talking about where our overspend is going to be here in just a second. When it comes
The stabilization payment, is that what they were giving us to help compensate for decline in enrollment?
You're correct.
And is this the first year they didn't give that?
They still give it the calculation.
Not as much.
Correct. Yes.
I'm-
Correct. Yep. Now, there was some additional funds that the state was looking to provide that we did receive last year with the 31AA funds. Those were specific to mental health and safety and security components. The board did opt out, so we did remove that component of the 31AA as far as an exclusion goes. And the federal government was a little bit funky this year, right? We had a transition at the top of the federal government, so there were some adjustments in how they were trying to send out allocations, how much we were receiving specifically because it was going through the Department of Education. Those allocations were significantly delayed, to put it lightly. But also that impacted how long it took to get the allocations of the carryovers through. Now, again, from a release of funds, we are at the point where our consolidated application is approved, and we're just doing some modifications, but we should be moving forward with many of those programs and much of that spending. And in context to where we're moving forward, it looks like there's some easing on the federal side of how much is happening through the changes. We just might not be receiving all of our funds specifically through Department of Education. We might be receiving some funds through Department of Labor or something as the current administration adjusts where some of that funding goes. But the hope is that we can at least receive a slight increase heading forward with some of the federal funds without the fear of some of the significant decreases, I believe, that were previously talked about heading into this year. We did have some increases in expense areas that weren't accounted for in the original budget. One of those was for new vehicles. We did have some contractual obligations that we're trying to bring into current. And this is just kind of the unfortunate process sometimes of where some of our cycles are at as a school district. From a reimbursement perspective, you guys know on a special ed basis, we have to spend first and then wait for our reimbursement in the next year. So some of what we might be looking at when it comes to the overspend just might be where we're looking at some of those supports that are happening on a special education side, but we do need to wait for some of that reimbursement, and then what we call our adjustment to page 2, essentially that would catch up the year for what's happening in prior year spending when that reimbursement happens. So it's a cycle thing, and again, that's something that we want to kind of bring some clarity to as we start looking at what we would do to project future budgets to ensure that those calculations are a little more accurate for what the board gets initially through the business office. Again, to kind of break down some of the revenue side of where we're at on a few of those pieces, just wanted to kind of put to the pie charts. Again, when we talk about the district being very much locally based as far as your taxes go, you're looking at 38.1% of your revenue coming from what's happening locally. There's a lot of districts where that number is very small. right? And what they get from the state isn't, 45.6%. They're looking at getting, close to 70% from the state because they weren't a held harmless district. So you guys do rely a lot on what's happening locally. And so, again, that is one of the things to continue to keep those good relationships locally that you guys currently have to continue moving forward as far as that local component of the funding goes. When it does come to some of the other federal pieces, again, because of the ESSER funds and some of the other ongoing spending that had gone through some of the COVID period, we're kind of getting back down to what would be normal federal spending pieces. You guys were much larger, probably looking at closer to 15 to 20% over the course of the past couple of years with where some of those ESSER funds were. So the 7% really isn't so much out of scale. It's just kind of getting you back to where some of prior spending has been when the federal funding wasn't quite so large due to some of the ESSER and COVID-based grants. Again, from a comparison perspective, a lot of those increases on the grant side, you'll see on the state and federal, really are just bringing in a lot of our allocations and updating to the current carryover amounts with the current year allocations of where we're at. So as we flip and look at the expenditures, again, from a functional perspective, that's your board level of control that you have for the school district, right? When you pass the budget, we shouldn't spend above where the functional levelers are at. So you have those pieces in your board book. From a legal level of control, it's a state violation for us to okay spending to go above those functional limits. So from the areas that are accounted for within those functions, we're trying to make sure that doesn't happen, right? That we're not overspending our functional areas. So we do try to ensure that when it comes to putting together some of these projections, they are a little bit conservative. So I'll say from our side, not that we have any fluff, but we don't want to be behind, right? We don't want to be too narrow in what we're looking at as far as the budget goes, because we definitely don't want to be in a position where there may be some needs, some late spending that happens. We know from a bus review, when the police come in to do reviews of the buses, we have to do, emergency repairs and things like that. So there are some things that we just want to make sure that we might need to account for when it does come to those areas. But when it does come to making sure that the functional areas are in target with what we're looking at from a vision and strategic perspective, that's where Mr. Graham's help with the instructional areas and with the grants, kind of keep everything in where things are going when it comes to instruction. Again, that's everything that's happening with instruction to students directly. Our teachers' wages, benefits, materials, classrooms, all that kind of stuff that's happening on the instructional side. That's where we're looking at those kind of pieces in that instructional area. But we do have, again, from a grant perspective, some of those funds that are specific to needs that happen. It's where we get into the added needs, those special education needs. So we do have sometimes the need to kind of move from one function to another with what's happening within some of those grants, especially when we look at risk, Title I, on where some of those compensatory components for expenses are at. So there are going to be a few of those adjustments and changes along that line. But we have brought all grants budgeted so that the expenditures are equal to the revenue. There was a few of those grants as we pulled up the original budget that revenues were accounted for, but expenditures specifically to that grant wasn't matching up, so that things weren't lined up. So we did get those balanced out as we put this budget together. But we did take a look at salary and benefits budgeted on where each individual employees are at, again, allowing for as much accuracy as we could get within the current budget, knowing that we obviously have to spend up to where our grant allocations are at. What we do mostly on the budgeting side is just kind of take a look at more of a historical context. I don't think zero-based budgeting is technically a thing because we're never going to be at zero. We're never not going to be able to spend money. But what helps us is what's the historical content, what that context is when it comes to where our grant allocations are, where the programs are going, what the needs have been in the past. So having that historical context is really where we try to focus on that side, especially when it comes to the contractual obligations, right? Because we know that when something's in place, when we've signed a contract, we're going to need to spend those components along that side, and we can't miss spending that's already been obligated by sign off when it comes to those contracts. So just to kind of break down a little bit on some of that spending piece when it comes to the individual functions. Again, this is on both your presentation and in the board book. But again, we're looking at a lot of the components for adjustments that were in there when it comes to how we're adjusting from the allocations from the grants. When it comes to the other area, we did have a couple of grants where we're bringing on some, what would be some capital outlay spending, and that's kind of moved to the other. GSRP would be one of those, CTE would be another one, where, so you see that other has, it looks like a very large percentage of an increase, but when the original budget didn't start with very much, and we're looking to bring some of those capital outlay spending pieces when it comes to those acquisitions, that is gonna just look a little off, but that percentage is just from what we're doing to bring in the full spend of those allocations and adjusting down to that capital outlay section that kind of falls under the other. So in bringing those two pieces together, as you guys will see with where we're at for the overall general fund budget, with our revenues being just over $43 million and current anticipated spending being about $43,750,000, that would put us at about an overspend of $672,000. I know last year, looking at the audit report, you guys were about $618,000 overspent, so we're not too far away from what some current history has been where the district's at, but we definitely feel that where we're at from a aggregation of that information perspective, getting us up to current, we're much more in line with where the potential may be there, again, with a little bit of conservatism in some of those numbers of what we're looking at. But we did start the year with $4.2 million in fund balance off of last year's audit. Remember, when you guys set the budget at the end of June, we only have a projected fund balance, right, when we use that. So the change in the fund balance is just as important to get it to actual, right, for this amendment, just as much as it is getting the right information in there. So if you're looking at that starting fund balance and it doesn't look like what you saw in the original, you're using a projected number with the original. This is the actual off the audit, and that's what the amendment kind of helps to make sure that you start at the correct base. And then obviously our ending balance, if we overspend, would be just over $3.5 million. So a couple of the other funds, do you guys want to ask questions? I mean, I don't want to like rush through anything before I move on to the other funds, I guess. Is that something that, should I pause, take a breath?
I have
Sure.
on the state aid status report, the monthly, what is the foundation allowance? And what is our state aid membership number that they're basing our?
So okay, so the hard part, when you ask what is the foundation allowance, that's $10,276. Okay, but you guys don't get the $10,276 because you're a hold harmless district. So you get the $10,050, right, that's the max. So that's the hard part when you do look at if you're using the wrong number to try to calculate and say, oh, one student equals $10,276, that's not correct.
On that status report, it has the 10,050, correct?
Technically, no. That's where the page 2 comes in. So that's so that's just where we just want to make sure we're clear with how we're budgeting, because that number wasn't used when the original budget was put together. So it is something where we do want to be careful when it does come to how we're putting together your initial calculations, that we are using the appropriate max number that would be necessary. Yeah.
And then the state aid membership, what number's showing on our monthly report?
So if you go to slide number 3, my number is the blended number at the 2055. That's going to be 13 FTE higher than where we're currently at 2042, only because I'm bringing in the 25E adjustments that I mentioned. So Kathy had put together our numbers based on last count and going through the 25Es. So I'm trying to use the most current information that I have. We're going to see a rise in FTE when those 25Es are posted by the state. So if you look at our state aid, it's not going to be the 2055 because I'm bringing the 25E adjustment to the FTE in. Okay. You're going to be at 2042 currently. Okay. Any other questions? Great. Okay. Well, no, I mean, just if I need to dance a little bit just to kind of get a smile or something. I mean, I usually I can get a cloudy crystal ball that I use because my crystal ball is never clear.
No fluff with you. You're just,
I do.
I like that. Just, I felt kind of good that, I mean, if we're just saying, even projecting if you have $43 million to even come that close, like even though it's 600,000, but I was like, it's still so close. Like it's a hard science. And when we're trying to do numbers and I'm sitting there looking at lost FTE, I always want to do that because I don't want to shock us by assuming that we're going to be here, and then we're actually here. So I go low so that we can go high. Sound familiar? I don't know if you guys know that one, but.
So, and the hard part with how close you are, right? I mean, getting within 2 to 5% of the budget sometimes can be really tight. But then I'm always reminded that, when you're an air traffic controller at Chicago O'Hare, 99.9% accuracy is not a good thing, right? You want 100% accuracy. So I want to be somewhere between the weatherman and an air traffic controller. You know what I mean? So you got to fall in there somewhere. So food services. So again, you guys just approved the contract as a 1-year renewal on your 5-year contract when it comes to food service. Tried to update where we're at currently when it comes to the state school lunch. Again, they're continuing with the state free meal program. But mostly you guys still get everything through the federal because of the qualifications where we're at with district-wide. So that's why your state number doesn't look very high when it comes to your food services, because really mostly everything's going through the federal side anyway. But that program still is in place so that all students still are receiving free meals through the district. Updating a little bit on the contracted service side, the repairs and maintenance. Again, a capital outlay component, because you need to spend the fund balance when it comes to food service. You guys probably have heard all about the 6-week limit that you're allowed to have when it comes to the fund balance on the food service side. So that is a requirement to continue to spend that down. So we did need to add some capital outlay there for a few of the pieces that need to be purchased to continue to use up some of that excess fund balance that's necessary in the food service side. Again, updating the beginning of year fund balance at the 782 point, even with where you're at with the overspend, because we do need to spend into the excess fund balance, would still put you at almost $283,000 on the food service fund balance. Looking at the debt fund, we did have a little bit of an increase on the property tax side as we're looking at what's coming in on the collections from the, again, local taxes on your debt. To the extent that we know where we're at with the settlement from the county, we're kind of getting through most of the collection period. We would have basically one large collection still left to come through the county when it comes to the apportionment settlement from all the taxes that are collected through the county. We did, as far as the restructuring that you guys did with your debt, you did adjust with where your current allocations are for what's being spent on the debt side. So we did adjust to current actual principal and interest components on your debt to adjust where the opening fund balance and ending fund balance would be close to $3.5 million on your debt side. Student activities, I was just adjusting this a little bit based on where we're at with, again, historical context of where some of the collections are there, but we did want to make sure that we updated the beginning fund balance with where last year's ending is. This one's an in and an out, right? What comes in for students is going to go out for students on the student activity, so this is always going to zero. And this is pretty much probably the only fund that I would say would always zero, because that's really what we want to see when it comes to the student activity collections. So the 487, then it would be what the year started with and what it ends with. On the sinking fund side, we're still on pace with what we're looking at as far as the original calculations on the property tax there. We did know that we're going to kind of push out some spend into the future years on some of the sinking fund components, because we are looking at currently what's happening with the parking lots. I know the sinking fund committee is met, so a few of those components will need to be something that we look at pushing forward on some of that. So just a slight adjustment on the numbers there. Again, bringing the fund balance to just under $202,000 for sinking fund. But again, knowing that we're going to push any of that forward for any projects that wouldn't be completed for the fiscal year. Mr. Graham's here if there's any questions.
Who that guy is.
This ghost. Coming out.
Oh, yeah, okay.
All right, any questions for Mr. Dyer or Mr. Graham?
Well, it's a pleasure working for these two guys, or with these two gentlemen. I also learned something different is when you have different finance directors. I said that earlier in the meeting today. Different finance directors have different ideas on different things on how they do things, and that's an adjustment. That's an adjustment from everybody in our office trying to figure out, okay, how are we going to do it? Last year was zero-based budgeting, and then Ms. Blair came. And then she had her ideas. Now she's gone, and now we have Mr. Dyer here. And so it's like we have to figure out how to get in line and figure all this out. Of course, I wasn't thrilled when I was like, oh, man, $600,000, like, how's that? And I started talking to them and then taking into account just inflation, everything, numbers, just it's so much. and trying to get it to an exact, precise number where I could get in front of the board and say, it never feels great when we're over budget. I never feel good about that. But also, I didn't expect all the things that have happened in the last year. So Mr. Dyer had to sit down with me because I'm thinking like, oh no, this I can't have this. But just walking me through this and to explain it to me like it's kind of expected when you go through these things. So I just appreciate you and Mr. Graham too being here, being available. We have access to Mr. Graham. He helps us with all these grants and figuring things out. And then when you have two different people doing numbers, I think that can be hard too. Two different people crunching numbers and theirs have to meet. So I just appreciate having them here, and I just kind of pleased, even though could be gloom and doom, and it's not.
Oh, thank you for this presentation. This was excellent and very helpful. It's appreciated. And as Dr. Edmondson talked about the turnover in the finance department, it made me think of, Mark, are you the one doing all the drawdowns now?
I've been
Or
doing
someone else doing drawdowns?
the drawdowns for Wayne Risa and the state because we've gone through 7 people. It's-
Right. Because there was a point in time where people weren't really clear on who should be doing drawdowns, and we missed out on a lot of CTE money. So I'm glad that that's ironed out. How often are drawdowns done? Are they,
Because of the they didn't get the app really approved until end of November. We are up to 2, so we did one through January, and we did have them at the beginning of March. So far we'll have 2, then we'll have another one in April, and we'll start increasing the drawdowns as we go, more frequently,
Right.
every 2 weeks until the end of the year.
well, thank you for that, and thank you for not letting us leave any money on the table,
We know where all the reporting stuff is.
Or-
We don't have
or
every-
not having reimbursements. That's, yeah, thank you. Thank you both.
Any other questions?
All right, seeing none, thank you, gentlemen. All right, and then we have an action item. Move that the Board of Education approves the 2025-26 amended budget as presented. Rationale, this resolution shall be the general appropriations of Romulus Community Schools for the 2025-26 fiscal year, a resolution to make appropriations, to provide for the expenditures of the appropriations, and to provide for the disposition of all revenue received by the Romulus Community Schools. Budget implications, individual fund budget are impacted in accordance with the attached schedule. Exhibit amended budget summary.
Support.
Motion by Davis, supported by Rogers. Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call.
Davis.
Yes.
Rogers is yes. Jackson. Kamal.
Yes.
Piles.
Yes.
Motion is approved to accept the budget amendment.
All right, moving right along, we are at the report of the Director of Technology, Mr. Adam Dennison, with an action item.
Move that the Board of Education approves Part 1, the 5-year lease-to-own agreement from Cisco CDWG for the district phones through the RIMC pricing purchase in order to comply with Alyssa's Law and strengthen campus-wide emergency response capabilities. Rationale to upgrade the district's aging phone system to comply with Alyssa's Law. Budget implications is general funds and tech supplies account. Exhibits are the quote and the lease purchase agreement.
Support. Motion by Rogers, supported by Davis. Any discussion? Mr. Dennison, do you have some?
Good evening. I was just going to touch, this is something that I presented on in February. And this, normally I would have it in one part. But because there was not going to be a March meeting, and then prices were increasing on the phones. We didn't have paperwork yet. So this is just strictly for the purchase of the phones. Right now, legal with Kevin Brock is we are reviewing the service side of it, and coming to an agreement on that, and then that'll come to you in another meeting. But that will be the service side of it, and then plus moving everything over from AT&T into Cisco, which would be saving us money annually. So.
All right, thank you. Any questions? Seeing none, roll call.
Rogers is yes. Davis?
Yes.
Piles?
Yes.
Kamal?
Yes.
Jackson?
Yes.
The motion is approved for the phone system.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, final stretch. Next up, we have report of board subcommittees. Any reports?
The strategic plan committee will be on Wednesday.
All right.
The 11th.
Yep, 4:45. Yep.
All right, any other subcommittees? All right, seeing none, moving on, report of the board president.
Vice President?
Hey, that's me tonight. Well, it's 6:58, so I'm going to keep it short. Thank you for coming out, and we'll see you next time. Now, communications from board members. Trustee Kamal. Trustee Piles. Trustee Jackson.
Yeah, I do have something. I want to know where we are as far as the lost our coach, and I know there's been some talk in the community.
What are they saying? I want to hear what they're saying.
Well,
Stay off of Facebook.
But basically, they wondering who will be the next coach. They're doing a lot of looking at the former coach and seeing why our kids aren't participating in something similar for our next season. We all know that sports, high school sports, is a lifeline in every community. So I just wanted to see where we are with that. I heard that we did have somebody interviewed. I just want to see where we at with it, because football, the later you start, the more catching up you got to do, and then we don't want to set the precedent that we start sports late, because anything to pull a kid out of the community, it will happen. So
Would you like that answer now or what?
yeah.
Oh man, I'm excited. So you gave me that was perfect, man. You gave me the nice slow pitch. At my age, I hit that. I'm gonna hit it right now. We had I don't know how many candidates they had for interviews, but got to the last two. But I wanted to make sure that we have students that are on these panels, just like Dr. Harvell comes when you interview. We need to have students there. You have to give students an opportunity to be empowered and to have a voice. So there were three of them. Two that are sophomores, one that's junior. They're all starters. They're all staying, as a matter of fact. We had two candidates. One was a former football coach here in 1987, without me saying names. If you go check the yearbooks, you'll figure out who that was. And then we had another gentleman that came from another school district. Took a program over that was 0-41 and then got them to 8-2 by the time he walked away. And actually had a call on that from another school district, called me and said, hey, this guy's applying. He's a good guy. I'm like, oh, okay, appreciate it. Totally forgot. Blame it on the age. Totally forgot. Walked into the interviews. This guy was electric. Electric. That I left saying, that guy's electric. And I made a phone call to the other school district, and I said, is this guy for real? And they were like, he is absolutely for real. So he has, I won't say that he's accepted the position, but he has. We have a meeting. Is it tomorrow or is it Wednesday? I think it's tomorrow. Tomorrow, 2:00. Because as a football coach, you want somebody to come over but also be an employee. So that's what we're talking about. Could we find a position potentially for him to be here? Because I've heard his impact is tremendous. He brings in coaches, discipline. The guy was electric. I'm telling you, he was electric. I was like, wow. And I've heard about him now, and I have connections to where he was. So I'm very excited. I'm talking to the athletic director, and I said that we need to do something big. It's got to be big. Got to be big. We got to get our kids to believe in this guy. Got to believe that they want to stay here, compelled to stay. And, it was a really good conversation with kids that day, too, because the question came up. I posed the question, Loyalty. Are you loyal to the district or are you loyal to the person? That's what I ask kids. And then the coach jumped in and said, I'm telling you kids, don't be loyal to the coach because the coach will leave in a heartbeat. Will leave in a heartbeat and leave you there. You've got to be loyal to your school district because that's the entity that you represent. And I like that answer because, you know, we can be gone in a minute and just go somewhere else. We also talked about why kids leave and understanding that when they leave, you got to sit out for a year, and I'm not playing. I am not playing. Anybody leaves, you're going to have to sit out for a year. If that's where you want to go, wherever you want to go, you're going to have to sit it out for a year. Okay? Staying here, you don't have to. You can just continue on. I liked his philosophy and what he said, okay, what he wants to do. I'm 110% on board. I just have to make it right tomorrow. I have to figure out how it's got to be able to work. So I'm excited. I can tell you that I'm very excited. I anticipated you were going to ask me that question too. So thank you. Yeah, thank you. Just like I never mind. We already know. I'm sorry. I'm just sorry.
All right, Secretary Rogers.
Yeah, now. Good. So a question was asked, and I know you know, there's the sale of Merriman. Okay, we should probably talk about that, that we have this school building that's sitting here. It's been sitting here. Somebody asked me earlier today, how long has that been for sale? I said, at least 5 years, at least. I've been here since 2020, and it was for sale then. I actually have a buyer, but I brought it up to you before. When the city asked for them to pave the road, how are they going to pave the road? The road costs more than the building. So now they have come back to me, and they've asked, can they get it for cheaper? Significantly cheaper. So it creates a little conundrum for us. Do you let it go at this point, just let it go and you can have it? Because it costs us $80,000 per year just to heat and cool it, just that alone. We have got to come up with a decision on what we're going to do. On March 16th, is that date familiar to you? Oh, it should be.
16th?
Yeah, yes. Yeah.
March 16th.
Yeah, that's my birthday. Just so, yeah, thought you would want to know that. So next Monday is March 16th. They are going in front of some entity in the city. I thought it was the city council, but I'm not too sure. I don't think so. Maybe zoning. They're trying to get it rezoned, and they asked if they get it rezoned, can they get it at this price from us? Well, I was at the point where I was like, how about you just take it for that price and we don't have any contingencies? Where I'm getting tripped up or where we're getting tripped up is people want the property, but they know that it can only be zoned for a school. So they're like, it's contingent upon the city approving the zoning. What are we gonna do? Let a charter school get it? Is that how we have to do this? So it's really a conundrum. What do you do? So they also gave me another figure today that they wanted. They're like, well, if you want it, no contingencies, it'll be this price. It's significantly less. But the question becomes, how badly do we want to get rid of it? I would love to be able to just lift these properties at this point. But the cost for the school that they want, I guarantee certain communities, I mean, you can't even get a house for that. It costs more, okay? Some people's houses cost more than what they're asking for. But do we want to get rid of it? It's just sitting there. It's an eyesore. And there's a part of me, and I will say this here, where I'm like, if I can't get the cooperation, then we just walk away from it. Like other people do, they will just walk away from it. Okay, if I can't get the cooperation to rezone it for somebody else, like it needs to be rezoned. It makes no sense, but I don't understand that process. I'm not city government, but to me, it just makes sense. Like, why? Let it go. Let them have it rezone it and let them have it. But because it's zoned, and then when I do have, a cooperative mayor that we talk about these things, and he's like, there is something coming up where they're trying to rezone schools a little bit less stringent for schools to release their buildings because they just sit here. We have 3 just sitting there. So Mark Graham has also shared. Did you have your hand up? I didn't see. I thought, okay. Oh, okay. This guy. But Mark Graham has also written a grant for us. We're hoping that we receive that grant to demolish both of those buildings, Mount Pleasant and Merriman. But it's sort of like, boy, if we sell it and then the grant comes through, we're like, I'll let him speak. He's happy. He wanted to use the mic anyway. Wore that nice shirt today, Mark. Whew. Wow, man, this guy.
So if we demolish those buildings and there was no longer a school there, would we have to start paying taxes on those lots? Okay, so even though there's not a school there,
Maybe this gentleman here is trying to buy the building. We should see. He looks like he has money.
So, like, I know we don't make the decision on that right now, but if it was me, I would wait to see if we get the grant to tear them down, because that's just a headache we don't have to worry about the city with. We having too much pushback from the city. We finding buyers, they throwing these curveballs that.
Well, they're going to say it's not a curveball. They're going to say, rightfully, they're going to say that it's zoned for what it's zoned for.
Yeah, but
that's
the-
what
but
they.
the-
So I
but
want to make
the-
sure we put that up.
right,
So
but
they're
the-
not
but-
an enemy of ours.
Not an enemy,
but I
but
get
the
it.
realization
Yes.
is that school has been vacant for more than 20 years, because I know the last people who went there, and they haven't been saying that road needed to be paved. So all of a sudden, we find a buyer, not a road need to be paved. That's really not working with us, because we trying to get it off of our books. So if we can, he said about June, if we can and we can wait and we can see if we can get the money to demolish it, I would do that. And then if it's supposed to be the buyer that we have, they'll be there. That's just how I feel about it. Because if you say and they trying to get it for as low as they trying to get it, we might as well wait. Because if we can get a grant to demolish it, we don't have to worry about it no more, rather than take half a pennies on the dollar for it just because we want to get rid of it.
But what if you don't? What if we don't get the grant? Then you just say, go to the buyer and say, here, you guys can all put your
You can
money
have it
together
now,
and get
yeah.
yourself a nightclub
You can have it now. Like, I feel like,
with after-school tutoring.
I just feel like we should, in this instance, because we have two buildings, we should wait to see if we get that grant.
And I can be directed by you all. This is individually. I just wanted to give you the information so that we start talking about it, because sometimes I have to make a decision. I'm like, I need to make it. This one has been so frustrating for me because this is the second buyer. Trustee Piles asked, like, well, what happened? that deal broke. That deal fell apart. Then we got another person, another group, and they are trying to use it for some kind of storage, and then we're offering to give the city a number of acres of it to put up houses if they wanted to. But you can't put up houses if the road's not right. The road has to be right, and then you put up houses. So, so we have a lot of that that's going on. I had mentioned, I don't know if I followed through with the Olive Street. They wanted to have low-cost housing. The thing for me, though, is, and I think it's discriminatory if you have a problem with how somebody's going to use it. That's not my business. That's not our business. If somebody wants to buy it and they want to turn it into whatever, that doesn't become our problem. That's discriminatory when you say, oh, I don't like that idea. That's not a good idea. I wouldn't prefer low-cost housing at all. I think it's now, I think they were going to call it workhouse housing, which is a little bit different. But that's not our job to determine how somebody wants to. They want to buy it, you can buy it. What you want to do with it, it's fine. But I would really like to get rid of the contingencies because they jam us up. And I get it from them. Why would you want to buy a building if you're not going to get any cooperation? So that's where there's no leg to stand on. If you want to do it with no contingencies, you better be ready to drop the price 75% for somebody to do that. So I just wanted to at least let you know where we are, March 16th. I think they asked me to come to city council. I don't know if I'll be an asset coming to city council. I don't know about that. So I just want to give you an idea, and then I'll tell you on the 16th what happens. Maybe the deal falls apart. I don't know. So that's it for our properties. Have gotten nothing on Mount Pleasant. The goal is that Mark Graham does a really good job at getting these grants for us, and if he's able to pull this one off, then that would be wonderful for us to be able to knock it down, and then we can talk about a data center.
Oh, Lord.
Totally kidding. I'm totally kidding. Please, I'm totally kidding there. So you've been educated on that, and anything else, just feel free to contact me if you have any questions about anything else. Thank you to the cabinet. Appreciate the work that we're doing. Trying to do some other things creatively at the middle school. I'll talk to you at some point once we figure out where we are with that, from our cabinet to the administration, the teaching staff doesn't really have an idea, but we're trying to do some things over at the middle school. Everything else is going pretty copacetic.
All right, I actually had one thing I noticed the other day, because what was it, a couple years ago, we sold the Burton Center over on Beverly and Wayne Road. I was driving up Wayne Road,
It's still sitting.
2 big for sale signs. Building still
Not
sitting
ours,
there.
though.
It's not ours.
It's not
but
ours.
still,
It's not ours.
you know, it's
I
just
saw
sitting
that.
there. So maybe demolition is the right option.
I mean, that would be nice. I think that would be good for the community. I mean, some of these places become an eyesore. You all live in the community, and you don't want to see that. And you get upset. People get upset at the school district when buildings sit there. They don't forget that. When they go to vote, they say, you know what, you jammed us up. We're not going to support you. So I think I put that in there, maybe in that sheet in the booklet, in the informational or the newsletter. I think I said something about we only own 3 properties, so don't get mad at us at any of those other ones. And we are trying to do what we can to remove the blight that exists in those properties.
Motion to adjourn,
Support.
7:13, all in favor?
Aye.
For the valedictorian.
Oh, here we go.